Hey everyone, and welcome to the Balanced Bodies Blueprint. I am your host, Vinny Russo.
And I am your co-host, Dr. Eryn Stansfield.
And we're shifting gears from all the conventional fitness narrative you hear on most fitness podcasts, as our main emphasis lies in preventative healthcare, adopting a holistic approach to nutrition, and challenging the traditional views on various fitness topics.
Our mission with this podcast is to provide you with the information you need to achieve optimal health.
And on today's podcast, Dr. Eryn and I are going to be diving in to a topic that is going to be of major discussion in the very near future, and that is going to deal with something that is called Reta, also known as Retatrutide. I hope I said that correctly, also known as Retatrutide. So just to preference this conversation, this is going to be an educational discussion that is going to be focused on emerging metabolic therapies and how they may influence body composition from a physiological standpoint. This is not going to be any type of medical advice. It's not going to be any type of prescription or any recommendation from our point, from our standpoint. As a coach, my role is not to recommend, prescribe, or manage any type of medication. My role is to really help clients optimize their training, optimize their nutrition, and focus on behavior modification. But being able to relay some information to help them understand how certain medical therapies may interact with those variables will allow clients to make better decisions, and those better decisions can be and should be made in collaboration with healthcare providers. So that's going to be my role in the discussion. Dr. Eryn, obviously being board certified, will have more of a broader bandwidth to speak to things. So I'm going to let her sort of take over, and we could really start with what Reta actually is, or however you want to start this conversation.
I'm going to call it Reta because I always mispronounce it. Yes, one of the caveats I want to discuss is I'm super excited about Western medicine and about, I know a lot of people hate pharmaceutical companies, but I think these drugs are amazing. And I'm referring to the GLP-1 agonist drugs. Reta is the newest drug in that family. It is a novel triple receptor agonist. So it targets three different areas: GIP, GLP-1, and glucagon receptors. It's currently in phase 3 development. That means it is not out yet. They are still testing it. They're still doing clinical trials on it.
Yes, and you'll notice that there are a lot of companies selling it right now. You probably get it on the black market, something being sold as it. But just to clarify what Dr. Eryn said, GLP-1 deals mainly with appetite regulation and digestion, which is going to be like slowing of the gastric emptying. The GIP receptors is really dealing with insulin sensitivity and nutrient handling. And then you have glucagon receptors, which really focuses on the energy expenditure and the fat oxidation.
And we don't want to overwhelm you with the physiology, but that's kind of a brief intro. So as I said, it is being studied right now in phase 3 development for specific, obviously medical conditions, including obesity and type 2 diabetes and related complications. But it is a very exciting drug because recent studies demonstrate that it has superior weight loss efficacy compared to even the existing therapies. And we're talking about the current GLP-1, so your Wegovy, Ozempic, that sort of thing. And you get the improvement in the cardiometabolic parameters as well. However, the downside is that there might be some more gastrointestinal side effects, but those seem to be dose related.
Just to touch a little bit on that downside that you brought up, any intervention that can significantly suppress appetite or food intake will carry a risk of losing lean mass, especially if protein intake is on the lower end and resistance training is nearly non-existent, and if calories are obviously too low. So the main thing here with one of the potential downfalls with that is if you have clients that are taking this, it is our obligation to ensure that they have a plan that is nutrient dense, it is a little bit higher in protein, and they are doing some form of resistance training to help maintain the muscle mass that they currently have.
Yeah, and I'll touch on this later, but Reta actually, because of the way that it targets the different receptors, it actually may maintain some lean muscle mass, and I think that's what makes it a little bit different than the other GLP-1s. So Reta is a once-weekly subcutaneous peptide that provides potent agonist activity at the GIP receptors and less potent activity at the GLP-1 and glucagon receptors compared to the other drugs. So what does that mean? It means that it enhances insulin secretion, improves insulin sensitivity, reduces food intake, and increases energy expenditure. It is great in obesity. So they demonstrate that in their phase 2 trials, where they looked at 300 plus adults who had obesity. So these were people that did not necessarily have diabetes, and Reta produced a dose-dependent weight reduction of 24% at 48 weeks with the 12 milligram dose, and the weight loss curves actually suggest that it didn't even reach its maximum potential, essentially. At 48 weeks, 100% of the participants receiving 8 milligrams or 12 milligrams achieved at least more than 5% weight loss, and 93% achieved more than 15% weight loss with 12 milligrams, and 83% achieved more than 15% with the same dose. So basically what this is saying in basic wording is that it is very effective at weight loss, whether you're obese and I'll talk about the type 2 diabetics, but just in obesity alone, it does show a superior potential compared to the other GLP-1s for weight loss. In type 2 diabetics as well, in the phase 2 trials, Reta, they looked at it at 12 milligrams, and it also had a potential to reduce hemoglobin A1C by 2.16% and body weight by 16.9, so almost 17% at 36 weeks. Glycemic efficacy was dose dependent, so obviously with the higher doses, you're going to get better hemoglobin A1C reductions.
Is there a I'm not sure if it says it in there, but is there like a ceiling for that? So for example, like if you do too much, like then it starts to be diminished returns, or?
Well, what they looked at was 4 milligrams, 8 milligrams, and 12 milligrams. So I can only speak to those doses. I don't know that they went further than that. And then as I touched on, the body composition. So phase 2, they did a sub-study and they looked at DEXA scans in adults with type 2 diabetes, and they found that Reta produced greater fat mass reduction without proportionally more lean mass loss compared to placebo. So that is really important. That's where I said that you can preserve some of that lean mass. And that's what you want, right? You want to preserve that muscle in weight loss. Like that's a beautiful thing if you can preserve muscle, because you will get muscle loss no matter what. Even if you're normally dieting without any drugs, you're going to get some muscle loss. And it just kind of depends on what percentage that is. A lot of things play into that, including genetics and your own physiology as well.
Now, just because those results say that does not mean that you should not resistance train, right? Just because it reduces the risk of you losing muscle mass, that doesn't give you the liberty to just say, oh, I don't have to work out, I'll maintain what I have. No, you still have to resistance train.
Yeah, so as you know, a physician, I agree with Vinny. The lifestyle changes that you still should make, this just helps everything make it more efficient, essentially.
Facilitates it.
Yeah, and so you still have to make those lifestyle changes. You still have to resistance train, exercise. You have to be cognizant of your diet. Again, protein intake is going to be very important still. This just makes it a little bit more efficient. Actually, I wouldn't say a little, a lot more efficient. And it's got some wonderful other benefits. So the other thing are the cardiometabolic benefits. So Reta improved multiple cardiometabolic risk factors. This is amazing for people that are at risk, right? Who are obese, who are diabetic. It included decreasing systolic and diastolic blood pressure, triglycerides, total and LDL cholesterol, decreasing fasting glucose and insulin and adiponectin levels. At 48 weeks, 72% of participants with prediabetes reverted to normal glycemia. That's amazing. This is a miracle drug if you are diabetic. The fact that you could reverse your diabetes with a pill, or with an injection, and there might be pill form later on, right, is amazing. 41% of those in the 8 milligram group discontinued at least one of their hypertensive medications as well. So again, getting off your blood pressure medications, isn't that the goal of most people? Like, a lot of my patients come to me and they say, my goal is to make lifestyle changes so that I can get off of my medications. Here you have an injection that can actually help improve cardiometabolic health and potentially get you off of some of those medications that you might be on. Another amazing thing is the metabolic dysfunction associated steatotic, I'm not
in English, please.
Basically fatty liver disease. It can actually decrease fatty liver disease. That was demonstrated in the phase 2A sub-study. Reta produced mean relative reductions in liver fat of 81.4% in the 8 milligram group and 82% in the 12 milligram group at 24 weeks.
So can it reverse non-alcoholic fatty liver?
Yeah, so participants actually did achieve some normal fat liver. Basically reverse fatty liver, which is amazing.
Now, just on that topic alone, do you see this maybe running strong throughout the bodybuilding community, not just for the aspects of like insulin sensitivity and the off season being more efficient and conducive with keeping their physique, but also now, if you're a professional bodybuilder, you're most likely running some gear, some steroids, which obviously directly affect the liver. Do you think that bodybuilders will be using Reta to help with their overall liver health?
Well, aren't they already? I think they
well,
probably
technically
what I see on social media is that it's being very much promoted in the bodybuilding communities and circles as
but technically it's not out yet, right? It just passed phase 3, so it's not out yet.
Who knows where they're getting it from, or even if it's the real thing, but that's what is being pushed out there. It does also reduce abdominal fat and improves insulin sensitivity in general. So, multiple benefits here from Western medicine.
Yeah.
As much as people trash Western medicine, here we have a drug that is, I think it's amazing what it can do.
It's not, I wouldn't say it fixed it yet, but it's about to fix the obesity epidemic that we see here in the Western world.
Yeah, I think it really does have that potential. And we'll have to see what, 10 years down the line, what the number one killer is, because most of it in the United States, at least, is cardiovascular events.
Yeah. And
so, I'm curious to see what these drugs do over time as it becomes more mainstream.
Do you have any more medical information to provide?
So, So let's talk about the adverse events. Most of them are GI. So you get again, these are known with the GLPs, nausea, diarrhea, vomiting. They are dose dependent. They seem to happen more at the higher doses. And they're mild to moderate in severity, so nothing crazy. Sometimes starting at a lower starting dose helps mitigate these effects. And again, there is a dose-dependent increase in heart rate. I think a lot of people have talked about this on social media. It can be up to 6.7 beats per minute, which when they looked at these studies, they peaked at 24 weeks and then they declined afterwards. So they seem to kind of level out. But there is a small risk of raising potential cardiovascular safety concerns.
That's mainly because of the glucagon signaling, if I'm correct.
I don't know. I'd have to look into the mechanism of that, so I don't know.
Okay.
But again, this is where the long-term outcome trials become important. No serious adverse events or increased hypoglycemic risks were reported though in the phase 2 trials. So again, some of the other diabetic drugs do increase hypoglycemia, and that's one of the risks that, some of the other drugs unfortunately have. There's ongoing development. So they're looking at this drug in the Triumph trials. Phase 3 program includes multiple trials evaluating Reta for obesity, obstructive sleep apnea, knee osteoarthritis, which is awesome, and cardiovascular outcomes.
Is that just really reduction of overall weight kind of helping with that?
Probably, yeah. I mean, if you think about body habitus, if you decrease the force on that knee joint there, it's going to help probably. And then there's actually a kidney trial too, looking at chronic kidney disease, assessing Reta's effects on kidney function and structure in adults with chronic kidney disease. So again, a lot of areas of research because this drug is great.
Well, I want to just pause with the before you continue on with the medical aspects of it, because a lot of people on here listening are like, that's great news, but is it applicable? Like, from a coach's standpoint, this is sort of how I'm looking at this drug, and I want to just kind of give that information out to you guys, because coaches should understand this, because the clients are already asking about it, and it's not because coaches are recommending it, it's because you at least want to be able to answer some questions. But what I see with Reta and its benefits to people are going to use it, whether they qualify or not, they're going to find it. They're already using it, like you said. So this is sort of where I see the benefits lying in when it comes to I guess you could say like physique coaching. So we're going to have improved insulin sensitivity, and that just really means that the body is going to be better at directing carbohydrates more towards muscle glycogen and away from fat storage. And that's assuming if resistance training is adequate, as well as proper protein intake. Now, if you have ever heard about why people push diabetics to resistance training, it's because it helps with their insulin sensitivity. So adding more muscle mass, resistance training alone lead to improved insulin sensitivity. Now we have this Reta that will naturally do that with an injection. Now, when I'm looking at it from like a physique sport, one of the biggest challenges I see is the off season, where you have people trying to grow. They call it gain season or bulk season or whatever you want to call it. But that off season is where you're trying to eat enough to be able to grow muscle mass. You want to fuel the body with calories to be able to promote to promote growth, right? Obviously, you need enough stimulus in the gym, but the fuel behind it will help carry that through. Now, the way to go about that is to try to do it to the extent of not gaining excessive fat gain, right? We don't want to throw on tons and tons of fat, and a lot of people get this wrong. So anything that can improve nutrient partitioning will theoretically allow more productive use of calories, right? So what does that mean? That means you're going to have leaner off seasons with people, right? Their bulk season's not going to be that much crazy of a fatty bulk. It'll be a proper bulk. You're going to have reduced spillover. You're going to have better glucose handling because of this drug. And then the last thing, which you just sort of touched on with the heart rate going up, unlike stimulants that act directly on the nervous system, you're going to have this Reta, which is going to improve glucagon signaling, which influences metabolic rate, and also the fat oxidation through certain hormonal pathways. And we're not going to dive into that, it's just going to bore people. But what this is going to do, or what it may do, is increase energy expenditure without having central nervous system stress. So those three things alone is like what I'm looking at with why people will try to use this for their physical enhancements or physical improvements. The downside I already touched on a little bit earlier, but there's another one where if you are an athlete who requires a lot of calories, so for example, let's just say you're a triathlon athlete or a marathon runner, or you are someone who does a lot of CrossFit and you actually compete, and you compete at a high level, you might not really want to take this because the slowing of the gastric emptying, that may decrease how many calories you can have overall. And if you are someone who requires a ton of calories, you're shaking your head no.
I'm just thinking so as a physician, I wouldn't recommend these unless they're clinically indicated. And
yes,
you're going off of a non-clinically indicated, how can you enhance? These are for athletes who might want to enhance their physique.
Well, what I preferenced this is that they're going to take it anyway, is what I said. So this is where I could see the benefits and where I could see the downfall with people that are taking it. I didn't say you should take it if you're not qualified to take it or you don't meet the criteria. What I'm saying is that it's going to be done. It's already being done without it being passed passed by the FDA to be used. So my thing is one of the downfalls would be if you need to have a higher intake in calories, don't really feel like you should be using this to try to gain an advantage, because you won't be eating as many calories to fuel your performance. And that's the whole point of, having proper nutrition and a proper nutrition protocol for specific athletes. It's to fuel the training. If you can't fuel the training, you're not going to fuel the performance. If you don't fuel the performance, you're not going to perform where you need to be successful. So that's what I saw. So I'm not saying here everyone, like, if you're like, you need to use this. What I'm saying is that it's going to be used. And so when I'm looking at it from a coach's standpoint, and where can I see the benefits, or where can I see the downfall for this? And that's sort of where I see people going. The insulin sensitivity, the increased metabolic rate is where I see where people are going to use it for that benefit. And then when you look at like potential sides, we have the appetite being suppressed and maybe not fueling enough in terms of calories.
Well, again, I'm going to emphasize that as a physician, I would only take this if it was clinically indicated.
We could preach here by the book, but reality says that there are people who are going to take it.
I think it's funny or coincidental that probably some of the people that you are talking to that might be taking this, offhand and not really in that clinical indication group, they're the same people that hate Western medicine and that push functional providers.
People who hate Western medicine.
I just think it's funny, and then now they're the people that likely will be like, oh my God, this drug is amazing. That's called Western medicine, guys. Big pharma, they made this drug. So, yes, big pharma can be bad, as all things are nuanced that are good and bad. There's not just a black and white here. Anyway, I think that is an amazing drug, especially if it is clinically indicated. If you have chronic problems with obesity or you are diabetic, I think this drug is going to be a life changer. It represents a potential advancement beyond the current GLP-1 receptor agonists and even the dual agonists with superior weight loss efficacy. You could say that there might be a higher adverse event rate in the GI area, especially at the higher doses. But the head-to-head comparisons with the higher doses, even of, semaglutide or tirzepatide, they haven't been conducted. And so that'll be interesting. Also, the long-term cardiovascular outcome trials will be critical to establish the safety and efficacy profile as well. So take it with a grain of salt, but I think this new drug is going to be a life changer for a lot of people out there that are suffering with obesity and diabetes.
Yeah, and hopefully this episode shed some light onto why people might be using it. You see it all over social media today. So we wanted to give you some knowledge on why is it being talked about so much, and why is everybody so thrilled that it's past phase 3 in terms of the trials. And then also, look, if you're a coach and you have a client on it, you kind of need to know, well, why are they taking it, or what potential benefits they could get and what potential side effects they could have. So this episode was really to give you the by the book medical aspect of it in terms of what it's been going through in terms of trials and the results that we're seeing. And then also I wanted to shed some light onto why people might be taking it and what they can experience, because you're most likely as a coach going to come across a client that is going to be messing with it or did mess with it or so on and so forth. So as I said earlier, my job as your coach is to make sure that your nutrition training, your behavior changes, your protein intake, they're all structured properly so that regardless of what your doctor recommends in terms of like if you qualify for it, you're going to be protecting your lean body mass and you're going to be improving your body composition anyway. So the next episode that we're going to be diving into next week is going to be dealing with people downplaying the role of vegetables and trying to fearmonger people away from actually eating vegetables. And we're going to dive deep into that. So See you all then. So on behalf of Balanced Bodies, we just want to say thank you for joining us on this episode of the Balanced Bodies Blueprint.
We are committed to bringing valuable content. And if you enjoyed today's episode, we'd greatly appreciate it if you can take a moment and like it and leave a 5-star review.
On Apple, just go to the show, scroll down to the bottom and rate it there. If you're on Spotify, go to the show's page, click the 3 dots, and you can rate it there as well.
And if you believe in the power of knowledge, share this episode on your social media to try and get the information out there to as many people as possible.
And as you navigate your own path towards better health, remember that Balanced Bodies is forever in your corner. See you all next week.
The podcast content may include discussions of medical topics and health-related information. However, the information provided should not be considered exhaustive or complete, and it should not be relied upon as a substitute for professional medical advice or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare providers with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment.